So, what if a dream someone had 600 years ago actually holds the key to understanding our own search for meaning today? It sounds kind of crazy, right? But we're about to find out. We are diving deep into one of the great, and honestly, one of the weirdest works of English literature, Piers Plowman. It's this sprawling, incredible poem about a quest for truth in a world that just feels, well, totally lost.
The poem kicks off with a question that feels like it could have been written this morning. Our narrator falls asleep and has this vision of a huge field packed with people, all just frantically chasing their own thing. And he looks at them and asks how busy they'd be about the maze. I mean, come on, that is the perfect description of a world lost in distraction, a world that sounds a lot like ours.
Okay, so let's get our bearings in this bizarre dreamscape. We meet our narrator, a guy named Will. He's just a regular person who suddenly found himself looking out over this field full of folk, which is basically a giant vision of all of humanity, just doing its thing.
And here's what's so fascinating about his diagnosis of the problem. These people aren't all evil or anything. They're just completely consumed by earthly success. The poem says they get their worship in this world and hold no tally, meaning they keep no account. They don't care about anything beyond what they can get right here, right now. Does that sound at all familiar?
Now, in this dream, there are two structures that completely dominate the landscape. They're like two opposite poles that define the entire moral universe of the poem. Way up high on a hill, or a tuft, there's a gleaming tower. And way down in a dark valley, a dale, there's this awful dungeon. These two places represent the fundamental choice that every single person in that field is facing.
Just when our narrator is totally overwhelmed, trying to make sense of all this, a figure appears. The poem describes a lovely lady dressed in linen who comes down from that high castle to talk to him, and it turns out she's going to be his guide. Will is, understandably freaked out and confused, so he does the only sensible thing you can do in a weird, symbolic dream. He asks for help. He turns to this mysterious lady and just says, "Mercy, madam, what may this be to mean?" He's basically asking for a user's manual for his own vision. And her answer is, what's a big reveal? She's not just some random guide. She says, "Holy Church I am. Thou oughtest me to know." She tells him, "Hey, you should recognize me. I was there when you were baptized. I taught you the basics of your faith." She's his spiritual conscience, literally walking and talking right in front of him.
And this is where the poem really locks in on what it's all about. Faced with a guide who can explain the entire universe, our guy Will doesn't ask for the winning lottery numbers or for power. No, he cuts right to the chase and asks the biggest question there is: how I may save my soul. This one question is going to drive the rest of the entire poem.
So, Holy Church gets right to it. She starts by explaining the meaning of that tower and that dungeon. And as she lays it all out, we realize they're not just buildings. They're the headquarters of two opposing cosmic forces. That tower up on the hill? That, she says, is the home of truth, which is another name for God. He's the father of faith, the one who created everyone and gave them what they need to live. Food, clothes, a place to sleep, but all in measurable manner, which basically means in moderation. Not too much, not too little. It's the source of order, goodness, and divine care. And the dungeon down in the valley? That's the castle of care. And care here doesn't mean kindness. It means sorrow, grief, and anxiety. It's the home of a being named Wrong, the father of falsehood. He is the literal opposite of truth, and his whole world is built on deception and misery. Now, this guy Wrong isn't just some vague, abstract idea of badness. No, he's an active force who's been messing things up all through history. Holy Church says he's the one who tempted Adam and Eve, who whispered in Cain's ear to kill his brother, and who tricked Judas into his terrible betrayal. The poem even calls him a letter of love, which is this amazing old phrase that means a hinderer of love. His entire job is to get in the way of goodness. All right, so the cosmic battlefield is clear. We've got truth in the tower, wrong in the dungeon. Now Holy Church is finally ready to answer Will's huge question. What's the path to salvation? What's the one thing he should be looking for above everything else? And here it is, the big one, the thesis statement for the entire poem, laid out so clearly. When all treasures are tried, truth is the best. After you've chased every kind of wealth, every ambition, every prize this world can offer,
one thing comes out on top: truth. That is the treasure our narrator has to find. But what even is truth? I mean, that sounds pretty abstract. Well, Holy Church breaks it down into 3 incredibly simple, practical rules. Step 1, be true of your tongue. Tell the truth. Step 2, do the works therewith. Let your actions match your words. And step 3, wish no man ill. Genuinely in your heart want the best for people. It's a deeply ethical, boots-on-the-ground definition.
But our guy Will is still a little lost. He gets the rules, but he's like, where does this come from? He asks basically, I still don't have a natural knowing. How does this truth even get started inside a person? It's a great question, right? It's one thing to have the rules, but how do you get the motivation?
Holy Church's response here is just fantastic. It's part exasperation, part deep wisdom. She calls him a doted daft, which is a great medieval way of saying, you silly fool. Then she tells him truth isn't something you just learn from a textbook. It's a kind knowing, a natural knowledge and instinct that starts in your heart, an instinct to love God even more than you love yourself.
And this leads us to one of the most beautiful metaphors in the whole poem. Love, she says, is the treacle of heaven. Now, to us, treacle is just a kind of syrup. But back then, treacle was a complex medicinal remedy, like a cure-all. So what the poem is saying is that love is the divine medicine that can heal any sin and cure the soul.
So, the secret is love. Simple enough, right? Well, hold on. The poem doesn't stop there. Because just feeling love or just believing in truth, that's not the final answer. The poem makes this absolutely crucial point, that inner feeling has to translate into outward action. And the poem uses some really powerful images to drive this home. Faith without good deeds, without works, is totally useless. It's feebler than not. It's as dead as a doornail. It's like a lamp with no light in it. What's the point? But faith combined with action, now that is the lock of love that opens the door to God's grace. It's the direct route, the great gate to heaven.
Holy Church hammers the point home with this command right from the Gospels, spoken as if from God himself. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Generosity, charity, the actual act of giving. That's the engine. That is how faith becomes a real living thing in the world.
And there we have it. The whole journey through this confusing, amazing dream leads us to this one powerful conclusion. The treasure that everyone should be searching for isn't gold or fame, it's truth. And that truth isn't just an idea you believe in. It's a way you live, a life defined by active, generous love. Which, of course, leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In our own field full of folk, in our own busy modern maze, the poem's central question is still hanging right there in the air. What does it actually look like for us, right here and now, to choose this kind of truth as our treasure?